In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live. And we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. If you're brand new to the show, go to JimmyRants.com. You'll see how the magic works. We start off over on Instagram. So go follow me on Instagram at LivingLowCarbMan. Once you're there, you can actually access the content live, just like all of these people are doing right now. If you do miss the live, it's all good. You can watch the replay for up to 24 hours. So go watch it on YouTube after that, because we do pop them over there. Put in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search, and then once you're there, you can access those forever and ever. Amen. That's pretty cool, right? And then finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast, which is available on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. JimmyRants.com is the website. And if you've been watching me on these Jimmy Rants this weekend, I have been at a conference. Oh, sorry. Today's Jimmy Rants. That's my little gig there. We're going to talk about epilepsy. And one of the fascinating things about this metabolic health summit that I've been at this weekend is we're finding out that keto, who knew, was about so much more than just weight loss. So we've heard about brain health issues. We've heard about cardiovascular issues. Today, they're going to do a whole tract on that. We've heard about cancer. But epilepsy was actually one of the first uses of a ketogenic diet in a therapeutic setting. And so there is this amazing organization that you need to know about called the Charlie Foundation. How many have heard of the Charlie Foundation? If you haven't, go click on the pinned comment. We've got the Charlie Foundation Instagram page on there.
Hey!
And we have photo bombers everywhere. Uh-oh, Rachel Gregory wants to get on the action.
Who's it?
You always wanted to be on Jimmy Rants.
Is this your?
This is Jimmy Rants.
Oh, hey.
You're messing with my vibe today. I'm just kidding. And I have a guest today who I've not introduced you. I'm messing with you, Rachel. I have a guest today. She is Dawn Martenz. She's from the Charlie Foundation, talking all about epilepsy and keto, and it's a very personal thing for her. So Dawn, welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody.
So, yes, the madness that is, what is this, MHS 19.
I look like a midget compared to you. Very short.
Sweet and low, there we go. I can't do that. I saw like a wall squat the whole time. There is this cool little poster you guys have, Keto versus Goliath, from the Charlie Foundation.
This
Pretty
is
cool. Yes. Charlie, the man, the
And he's
myth.
throwing avocados and butter.
Yes.
At Big Pharma.
At Big Pharma, the greed and dogma of Big Pharma. I love it. I love it. So tell us your story about how your son,
My daughter.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She told me several stories about her kids, and I was like, okay, is it the son or the daughter? Daughter, at 5 years old,
Yes.
was having really horrible seizures. You guys put her on all the mainstream anti-seizure medications, and they weren't working. So talk about that experience.
So in 2005, my daughter was born, and very shortly after, she was 4 months old, she started having really bad seizures, and they didn't stop. No matter what medication we gave her, we tried medications, every single one in the United States. We tried almost all the medications available in Canada and several from France, and all of them were completely ineffective.
Were they specifically anticonvulsant, or were they a variety of different ones, just specifically?
Most of them anticonvulsants. There was a couple oddballs in
Right,
there,
right.
but nothing worked. So by the time she was 5 years old, she was having so many seizures. She was actually in what's called status, and that means that the seizures just don't stop.
What's that? Spell that word, status?
Status epilepticus.
Oh, wow.
That's a mouthful.
Is it like a Greek?
It's not good.
Yeah, it
It's
does
just
not sound good at all. So.
And this was even with emergency room intervention. So
Is it because the body adapts so well to whatever the drug is that it becomes resistant, kind of like a resistant antibiotic?
it's a little bit of both. She became dependent, essentially, on some of these anticonvulsants,
Yeah.
especially the benzodiazepines, which are one of the first-line types of medications used to stop seizures. So And then also she was diagnosed with Dravet syndrome, which means that it's a very drug-resistant epilepsy
Spelled
to start with.
Spelled like Ricky Gervais?
Dravets. And
She's learning it.
and
You talk this stuff all the time. You don't even think about spelling it.
No. So it's a very difficult epilepsy.
Yeah.
And we were really, really scared.
So what are some of the side effects of some of these mainstream epileptic drugs? Because they're not innocuous.
They're very dangerous. She was on medications that were very harmful to her liver. Her overall ability to learn and grow.
Yeah.
They were almost as hard on her neurological health as the epilepsy itself.
Yeah.
So in 2010, we were at a point where we had nothing left to try.
And she was 5, yep.
She was 5, and she had been taken from school in the ambulance to a local emergency room, and she was having seizures that were atypical. They were called myoclonic seizures.
Yeah.
And they don't look like your typical grand mal seizure. And the emergency room doctor told me that she was not having seizures.
Oh, that didn't go well, did it?
That did not go well. And
Mama Bear came out.
so we checked her out of the ER against, all recommendations from the
Where'd you
medical
go from there?
team. And we went straight to Children's National in Washington, D.C., and we checked into the ER there, and I called her neurologist, and I said, it's time to start the diet.
Yes.
We have nothing left to try. And
So you had heard about it from this neurologist.
And we had moved. We heard about the diet first in New Hampshire, where we were living. My husband's in the Air Force, and we knew a little bit about it, but it was presented in a way where they said, well, there's this thing you could try. It's
Probably not effective.
really gross diet,
Yeah.
and I don't know how you're going to get a 5-year-old to eat this food. And
Right, very gloppy.
They'll have to eat butter
Yeah.
and drink heavy cream. And so we were scared of that as well.
Sure.
I thought, how on earth am I going to do that? So I didn't even think about it until about a year later. And we had moved to Washington, D.C., and here we come in the ER. And so they admitted her to the hospital. And we went up to the neurology clinic on the neurology unit, I should say. And we stayed there for 5 days. And they started fasting her. The first thing
Right.
they did was
To dump the glycogen stores and glucose.
they gave her an IV just with electrolytes
Yeah.
in it. And for 3 days, we sat there and didn't eat with my 5-year-old.
How'd that go? That always fascinates me when they say they put these kids on a fasting protocol to kind of kickstart the ketosis happening. How did that go with your 5-year-old? Was she crying and saying, I want to eat and I'm hungry?
It was very hard. And
especially Mama, seeing her go through that.
As a parent, you're sitting there thinking goes against every parental instinct
Yes.
that you
You're
could
gonna stun her
possibly
growth
have.
and- yeah.
Why would you not feed your kid? But the interesting thing was, as she was moving into ketosis,
Yes.
her seizures stopped.
Wow. And she
So-
was having them how often?
She was having them constantly.
Wow.
One after another when we walked into the hospital.
Amazing.
She couldn't talk. She couldn't complain about
yeah.
not eating. Frankly, it was that intense.
Wow.
And so she, within 72 hours, stopped having all of her seizures
That's unbelievable.
completely. And
But she did have to eat eventually, so what happened then?
3 days after the start of the fasting, we reintroduced food. And interestingly, this is the craziest part of it
Yeah.
all. In this neurology clinic, they had a protocol where the kitchen staff would weigh the ketogenic meals and send them up to the patients.
Yes.
This was not a well-known popular diet only
Right.
10 years ago.
That's right.
And we were receiving these meals from the kitchen and feeding them to her, and it turns out they were weighing them incorrectly.
Uh-oh.
And her diet was supposed to be a 4-to-1 ratio
Yeah.
keto diet.
What was it, a 5-to-1?
It was a meal was 22-to-1 ratio.
What was she eating at 22-to-1? Like big stick of butter?
It was iceberg lettuce and a few slivers of chicken with a lot of mayonnaise to dip it in, and
she ate it all?
Olive oil in a syringe that she would take.
Did she eat it all?
She did, and what happened was she became so ketogenic.
Yeah.
She actually became unresponsive again.
Oh.
And we had to start a Bicitra IV to bring her out of the deep level of ketosis.
Wow.
It was very dangerous.
Yeah.
She could have gone into a coma from that.
Wow.
So we fixed this.
Did they say how high it went? You said very high levels. Did they measure blood?
I don't remember the number. They were measuring her blood.
Blood,
and
okay. But it was like astronomically high compared to what they normally would.
High.
Okay.
And
that's not the norm, by the way, with epilepsy treatment.
This is telling. I tell you that because I want to make the point that keto just this short time ago was so unfamiliar to even the medical staff that were administering the diet to these patients that the protocols to teach the patient how to manage the diet were not even in place yet.
Exactly.
And so we ran out and got a gram scale while we were still in the hospital and started weighing the food that the kitchen was sending up. And
talk about why that's important, the whole weighing of the food, and why making sure that the child eats all of the food is so important.
So we use, in the neurology setting, we use what's called the Keto Diet Calculator, and that's a software that's available to dietitians. And in it, you calculate the meals so that it has the exact macros that the patient needs. So for my daughter, around that time, each meal was about 320 calories.
Yeah. Consisting of?
It was about 6 grams of protein, if I remember.
Yeah.
And 3.5 carbs per meal.
Yeah, so minimal, very minimal.
About 18 to 20 grams of fat for each meal.
Right.
And each meal would have exactly the same amount of macros. So we would calculate this and then weigh the ingredients.
Is it calorie restricted as well to help produce some more ketones? Because a calorie restricted kind of ketogenic approach I know is being used with cancer, a la Dr. Seyfried's work talking about calorie restriction. So that does help produce more ketones too?
So when she started, it was slightly restricted, and then she became what's called a super producer.
Yeah.
She
had extra ketones she could throw your way every once in a while.
She was able to get into ketosis so easily that we were able to lower the ratio of her diet after time, and she actually is producing high ketones still at a very liberal modified version of the diet.
Well, and what's interesting, and people don't realize this, but kids can very easily slip in and out of ketosis. Obviously healthy kids without epilepsy, it's very easy for them to do that, and so it doesn't surprise me, but your kid was that much more of a super producer of ketones.
She was, and so...
Did you notice any physiological aspects of that? Did her mood improve? Obviously no more seizures. She was happy that she wasn't having the seizures, but what other manifestations of keto did you notice?
So immediately she actually did lose weight.
Yeah.
So we corrected that by increasing her calories
slightly.
So
then you went up.
And then, so immediately she was talking more, which was the biggest thing.
Yes.
And this is a 5-year-old at the time who normally 5-year-olds, like my son, just never stopped talking. But our house was very quiet.
Yes.
And it was sad.
Yeah.
It was, to see your kids struggling so much that they can't even talk and engage with their family around them. So immediately she started talking more, and when she was frail when we first started this. She had been on so many medications.
At 5 years old.
She looked like she was an athletic build, but actually she had such toned muscles because of seizure activity.
Yes.
And so she was stiff and she was very slim, and we started keto, she started talking, she kind of mentally cleared. It was like the static that existed in her head all the time cleared up and went away. I explain it as if you were listening to the radio with static, and it's
then you
hard.
clear the static out of the
and
way.
You clear the static, and you can hear things clearly.
There's Lady Gaga.
So she became herself. She became who she is on her own, and now she's 13.
I was going to say, 10 years later-ish?
10 years later-ish. This was a...
You have a picture on your phone you can show of her?
Let's see.
I want to see this beautiful child.
Let's see.
So that's amazing. So guys, this shows you the power of nutrition
There we go.
when it comes to...
Sorry,
oh, wow.
it's my... See you soon. So that's us
Wow, she's cute.
in our winter wonderland.
In the winter wonderland. Where's that?
Washington, D.C.
Oh, in D.C.,
still.
of course.
We left after that and came back again. But she's amazing. She's almost 14, and she is very much like a 14-year-old. She's a little bit, talking back now. And
Yeah, of course, a typical 13-year-old. Mom knows nothing now.
no.
She helped keep me alive and survive with this epilepsy thing. Mom knows nothing now. So how long since she's had a seizure?
So she, with Dravet syndrome, is having currently, I'm going to knock on wood and something.
Knock on
She
something.
has about 1 seizure a year.
Compared with multiple constant
Hundreds
a day
a
at
day.
5.
1 a year, and it's usually a tonic-clonic seizure.
Yeah.
And it usually stems from a trigger of some sort, like her diet has been off, maybe she ate something too high carb.
Yeah. And she knows
it's
it.
combined with physical activity.
And stress probably
and stress,
also deals with that.
Lack of sleep. She also has a photosensitive trigger, like the looking at flashing lights
Wow.
and pool water. Who would have thought?
So no raves for her.
no raves. But these are all things we can manage, and we can have a life now.
Yeah.
We can go, and we've traveled all over the country. My husband's in the Air Force, and we've driven across the country several times with them. And these are things I never would have been able to do.
Wasn't even a
It
thought
affected
at
our
5 years
whole
old.
family.
Wow.
It was devastating.
Yeah. So I'm always curious with these keto epilepsy kids. How's she doing in school?
So she's doing well.
Academically.
She has learning disabilities.
Yeah.
Most likely they come from the years where she was having so many seizures that it caused damage.
Yeah.
But she's learning.
Rob Wolf.
How are you doing? Good to see you.
Hello. She's learning. She's in a special education program in public school, and we've tried homeschooling. We've tried, various different schools going, throughout our moves, and we ended up with a fabulous private reading teacher who actually specializes in dyslexia.
Wow.
And that happened to be the very best thing that ever happened to her educationally. And she's smart. She's reading.
Yes.
She's learning, and she goes to high school in 1 more year.
Wow. And Mama's already scared. I could see it on her face.
It's really frightening.
So what does she want to do with her life? And does she realize the gravity that this diet has made in her life? Or was it so young in her life that she's like, this is all I ever remember?
I don't know if she recognizes how much different her life is now from where we started.
Right. 5. Most of us don't remember 5. So.
But we all remember this.
Oh, of
My
course.
son remembers this.
Now your son was how much older than?
He's younger.
Oh, he's younger, and he
But
remembers some of it. Wow.
He as her brother, and they would play, he would find her having seizures.
Yes.
And I think all of us still carry a lot of, trauma from those years. But our motto in our house is happy, healthy, and safe. And as long as we can check those 3 boxes,
Right.
we're good. Nothing else matters.
So when you were feeding your daughter this very high-fat diet, let's see what it looks like on a plate. So kind of describe it. I know you mentioned briefly, and she has a picture. But also, did you guys also do, obviously not the extremely high 22-to-1 or even 4-to-1 diet? Did you guys do kind of a ketogenic-ish diet to try to support her?
We did, of course.
Well, not all epilepsy parents do.
No,
a lot of them, they're like, well, this is what I do therapeutically for my kid. I would never eat this way because of cardiovascular or whatever issues. But good, you did support her in that way.
We decided early on, we didn't completely go keto when she started. It was still told, we were still told at that time that it was dangerous.
Yeah,
and
fat
we
makes you
were
fat.
gonna all have heart attacks and die imminently.
Right.
So,
yeah, you eat that butter, you will die.
But we have, over this, 9, almost 10 years, have moved to ketogenic eating style in our house for all of us.
Why? Just because
we all feel great. I believe it is healthier, and I think that everything we hear at this conference tells us that this is, how
whole health, not weight loss diet.
Exactly.
Right.
We eat whole foods-based diets, and we
show us some of what you got.
Great. So this is a picture.
And you're a chef too, by the way.
I'm not a chef. I'm
a home chef.
I'm a home chef.
That counts. Somebody's burning something in the air right now, but that counts.
Me.
No, you're not.
So this is a picture of one of her original meals.
Is that like a taco made with cheese?
Yes, and this is, I know the cheese crisp are like a super popular thing now, but this book I wrote in 2012.
Nice.
And this is...
See a pizza up there too.
Yep, that was a good one. It's a bacon freeze pizza.
Nice.
It's
like a
meal, the meal that saved our lives.
Ah, wow.
So this is my cookbook.
The Keto Cookbook, subtitle Innovative Delicious Meals for Staying on the Ketogenic Diet. And I see you wrote it with an RD.
Yes. So this was the dietitian that started my daughter on the diet.
Wow. So at the neurologist office?
Yes.
This dietitian? Nice.
Yep. And she's since moved on to, last I heard, she was at NIH now.
Wow.
However,
we have a ketogenic RD at the NIH? Tell me more.
So you may have seen these books, on Amazon. They're generally misunderstood. This is the other one. This is the modified ketogenic diet.
And that's the one specifically for people that may not have epilepsy,
or they're
is
moving
it
towards it.
Got it.
So when keto became popular, people would comment and they'd be like, why are these recipes in grams?
Yes.
Can I have them in American?
Yes.
And they're
grams versus American, I love it.
Yeah, that's the question.
I knew what you meant, but that's funny.
That's what they asked.
Oh, I know. And I get the opposite because I write a lot of American books. And they're like, we need this in grams. Americans don't understand grams.
Well, so these books were written for people that follow the medical
which counts in
versions
grams.
of ketogenic diets, and our software program calculates these meals in grams.
That's right.
So they apply to anybody, but you can't, these meals at the 4-to-1 ratio, you can't have a whole egg. So you have to weigh a portion of the egg to get the correct macros. So that's the reason for that. But my goal has always been to reach parents like myself and my husband that were in this really terrible place, and I just want them to know that it's okay. Right. Everything was okay.
Absolutely. And that's what you guys do at the Charlie Foundation. CharlieFoundation.org, is that right?
Yes,
is the website, and so go check them out. They're an educational 501c3, right?
Yes, we are.
And so that means they're nonprofit. You can actually donate to their cause at CharlieFoundation.org. We're having a big event tonight at this conference that will help benefit the Charlie Foundation and the Max Love Project. So
get to get fancy.
Yeah, what's that?
We get to get fancy.
You get to get fancy. This is as fancy as I get, so deal with it.
So you said semi-formal. You got the notice.
I will have to dress up a little more. So just briefly tell us what you do at the Charlie Foundation, what your role is.
So in 2012, I joined the Charlie Foundation, and I started posting my recipes on the Charlie Foundation website. And I have been there ever since. I do their social media, and I attend conferences like this one, and we talk a lot.
Yeah, she does like to talk. That's why I wanted her on Jimmy Rants today.
And we do, a lot of parent education and just making sure the mission of the Charlie Foundation is to let every single parent or patient, even an adult patient, know that keto is an option. Even if they haven't been told that it is, it exists, it's a real treatment, and it is a super effective treatment.
And what's amazing to me is 1921, we discovered, well, not we, but it was discovered, ketogenic was coined for the first time, and its very first use was for epilepsy and controlling seizures.
And that was at the Mayo Clinic.
Yeah,
this is a legitimate scientific discovery.
Right. And it was the standard, the gold standard for treating epilepsy until anticonvulsant drugs came around the late 1930s, and then poof, all gone. And thanks to the foresight of this pioneer named Jim Abrams from the Charlie Foundation, his son Charlie was like your daughter, and he had to do something, and he was just as frustrated as you were.
He's made it. Him and Nancy have made this their life's mission.
Yes.
Is to make sure that no rock goes unturned.
Yes.
You know, that everybody has access to diet therapy. And Beth Zupekania, our dietitian, travels the
Another RD that's keto? What?
She's the
ketogenic. Yeah, exactly.
She travels the world, and she has trained almost 250 hospitals worldwide on how to set up keto clinics in their hospital. And she'll train their dietitians and the neurologists and the other members of their medical teams so that they can go forward and implement the diet for their patients.
And guys, if you have not seen the film First Do No Harm, it's available in full length on YouTube. So go type in First Do No Harm. It's starring Meryl Streep. If you heard of her before, of course you have. Go watch that, because it really articulates everything that you've shared here today, what Jim went through. It's just amazing, this nutritional modality to get people healthy.
It's just food.
It's just food.
It's just
Who
food.
knew real whole foods could be therapeutic? All right, let's see what my Jimmy Rants people have to say. Welcome in. Thanks for being here, you guys. Appreciate you so much. Lots of people here today. I caught you while finishing up my cardio at the gym. Well, welcome in, Keto Mama. Thanks for being here. You got another Keto Mama here. All right, this is something I am really taking great interest in, says Jesse. So thank you for this. You're welcome. Love listening to your live talks this week. Thank you, Jean. Goosebumps, says Jesse, you telling your story. So, not the children's book, but...
Witch Hospital?
I missed Witch Hospital, Jesse said, yeah.
So we began the diet at Children's National in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
But there's many hospitals now.
Yeah, there's lots of them, 250 at least with Beth's work.
With Beth alone.
What about high blood pressure? Any effects from keto? Not with your daughter, I wouldn't think, at that age.
She never had...
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, she never had high cholesterol.
That's amazing. What was it, 90% fat diet and no high cholesterol?
No high cholesterol.
Take that, AHA.
No kidney stones.
Yeah.
Nothing like that.
Exactly.
Instagram Live in it, huh?
Jimmy Rants in it. I'm praying keto works for our severely autistic son. He's 5 years old. I'm happy to hear it's worked for your daughter, says Backburner Art.
So that, lots of new studies coming out about autism. There was a great talk. Did you hear
Yes.
that one? So it definitely something that I would be checking into if I was that mom.
Yes. Such an inspirational message, says Margaret. Thank you. Bless you and the Charlie Foundation. So powerful. CharlieFoundation.org. Thank you, Jesse. See, I got peeps that got my back here. I know someone whose child is epileptic, and their neurologist has the child eating margarine instead of real butter. Why would they eat margarine? Other than, what would be the purpose of an epileptic kid?
All the way.
Exactly, and Kerry Gold, they're not margarine. They the real thing. Keto Kate says, I'm an epileptic, so thank you for sharing your story. Do you use keto, Kate? I'm really interested.
So lots of adults now come to keto, and they feel slighted that they never had this opportunity as a young child. And we have resources on the Charlie Foundation that are geared towards adults coming to the diet.
Nice.
And it's really manageable, and people have done really well.
So it's interesting, when I've interviewed Jim on my podcast before, he said, a lot of kids go on this diet, the real intensive kind of 4-to-1 ratio diet, for say a couple of years, 2-3 years. Even Eric Kossoff, when I've interviewed him, he said, oh, they just go in a couple of years and then the seizures just go away without the diet necessarily.
So there's some epilepsies that respond like that.
Yeah.
So Jim.
But not your daughter.
Charlotte has a genetic-based epilepsy.
Right.
So it's, for her, she's likely on some form of keto for the rest of her life.
Oh, darn, she has to have bacon and avocado the rest of her life.
But you know what? It's no different than how we've been eating now.
That's right. So it's normal to her now.
It's normal.
Right.
And so this isn't like a punishment in any form. It's the gift of life for her.
Yes.
You know, but some epilepsies do respond and they heal from the diet.
That's
and
right.
Then the epilepsy becomes resolved, and we are working to say that it is actually cured, because some, it's not known that there is a cure for epilepsy.
Yes.
But we believe keto does cure epilepsy.
It's in the same way that keto cures type 2 diabetes. You stay on the diet, you never see the diabetes manifest again. Same with epilepsy.
So
with some epilepsy.
We want to move beyond resolve,
yes.
In quotation.
Yes. Yeah, we're not resolving, we're curing. So MP Laughlin wanted to know, said, you guys are great, thank you. What is the name of that keto RD for the Charlie Foundation?
Beth Zupek-Kania, and she is, do I have her name here? Oh,
it's a funky monkey name, but if you go on charliefoundation.org, you'll actually see it, but yes.
So she did the second book with me. And
She's an RDN, registered dietitian.
And clinical dietitian.
Meaning she does clinical work with patients. That's awesome. I'm hoping it's going to help my son with ADHD, says Jesse. I think it's making a difference. Still early, not in the therapeutic ketosis phase yet. So what could Jesse do to get her kid to therapeutic ketosis?
Just take it slow and keep going, and pay attention to the meals that you're currently eating, and consult with a dietitian. We have either ask through your doctor. We also have dietitians on the Charlie Foundation website that can consult with you remotely. So there's a lot of, once you have support from a qualified dietitian, you'll have the best results.
Yeah. Somebody's asking about Parkinson's disease, but that's a whole nother beast. It's certainly, there's definitely all neurodegenerative types of diseases it tends to help with. Do you guys talk about any of those adult onset neurodegenerative type diseases on Charlie Foundation?
We've expanded the Charlie Foundation's mission to include keto for other modalities such as brain cancers, other neurological disorders, brain injuries, autism, and diabetes. So the evidence is coming in now, and that's exciting. And
a lot at this conference.
A lot of it is being presented here, and the anecdotal reports that Beth has heard and that we've heard through the Charlie Foundation are really positive.
Nice. Well, guys, thanks for joining me on Jimmy Rants, Epilepsy and Keto, and we've been talking to Dawn Martenz. She's from the Charlie Foundation. Go check them out, charliefoundation.org. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
So guys, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, go follow me on Instagram at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVIN LOWCARBMAN. You can watch live just like all of these people do here today. Oh, Kate had one more question. Does your daughter eat vegetables at all?
Yes, lots of
Why would she not?
Yes, so many vegetables. In fact,
I guess they heard 3.5 grams, and
that's it. That was years ago.
one.
But she still ate vegetables then. Lots of cucumbers.
Nice. So you can watch the replay for up to 24 hours on Instagram, but it does go away after 24 hours. We pop them all over onto YouTube. You're going to want to share this one on YouTube, you guys. So go follow me there. Put in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search on YouTube or Google. You will find the show. Finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcast and Stitcher. All of this, you guys, all the links, don't remember all that crap I just said. Go to jimmyrants.com and you'll see links to all of that. So until next time, we'll see you then.